Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and what will probably be the only bonus episode of this game that I do. Now, I've gotten some comments on the finale, and I looked a couple things up, and I have now been confirmed that on Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, they do have all of the pause tapes that I'm missing. Therefore, I do not need to do all of the boss battles again, meaning fighting all the AIs again, just to get all the pause tapes. I can just play Ground Zeroes and listen to them all there, so that'll help me bridge the gap from what I get from here and what I will get from that game. So I will save that for that game, since I really just don't feel like fighting the AI battles anymore. It's just not something I feel like doing. However, I did get all the Strangelove tapes. There were only 3 of them, I guess, and I already got one and listened to one. We listened to it a while back. I have the other 2 ready to go. Strangelove's Memories, that is. We listened to a chance meeting, which was pretty damn long. So we should probably get a cracking on these 2 in just a moment. But before we do that, I wanted to just clear up any other ones that are in here, and I think the only ones I have left in here now are client ones under Miller. He's going to talk about pause a little bit, so let's learn about snuff tobacco and Cypher.
Remember that habit Paz had, Snake? How she always had her index finger on her upper lip like this?
Yeah. It bugged me ever since we first met her. Never figured her for a snuff user.
I can't believe we never noticed.
She used the kind where you keep a pouch of leaf in your upper jaw, let it absorb through your gums. She might not have been used to it. Probably used her finger to keep it in place.
Huh. I would have never guessed something like that. That's interesting. But, okay. Let's learn about Cypher.
How could Paz... We were gonna start a band together.
She was posing as a KGB agent, too.
She must have put on the act to get close to Galvez. Wonder how much Coleman knew. But the whole time she was working for some organization called Cypher.
Huh. Cypher. Ring any bells, Kaz?
Cypher. It means code, or zero in Arabic numerals.
Zero.
Does that mean something to you?
Not sure.
You know, cipher and zero were basically the same word. It's a linguistic redundancy. The word stems from the Sanskrit shunya. It corresponds to the Buddhist concept of emptiness. In Buddhism, shunya means hollow. It supposedly refers to something that's swollen and empty on the inside.
A big swollen emptiness. Just like outer space.
So, I think even though they haven't explicitly said it, I'm thinking Cypher Zero, meaning Major Zero from Metal Gear Solid 3. Thinking there's the connection that we're trying to get there out of that. So anyways, that'll do it for the rest of the briefing files. For anybody, actually, I saw one under Chico. Oh, I didn't even realize this was new. Okay, let's listen to this too.
Chico, I heard you saw Paz trying to sabotage Zeke before she activated.
I should have stopped her. If only I hadn't run away. I could have captured her before she got inside. If I'd done that, she'd still be here.
She was carrying a gun. Probably trained to use it too. Don't blame yourself. You couldn't have stopped her anyway. You were unarmed.
Could have at least talked to her. If I'd promised not to tell anyone, Paz wouldn't have gone and done what she did. It's just I was so shocked. I panicked. Ran away.
Chico, when you saw Paz, she was trying to sabotage it, right?
Huh? Well, yeah.
And right after that, she took control of it, tried to make me surrender. Something doesn't add up. Why would she sabotage Zeke when she was about to use it against me?
What?
Her actions were inconsistent. Even for a spy. If she wanted to destroy Zeke, she could have done it and run away. But if her goal was to steal Zeke, she'd have no motive to sabotage it.
I don't know.
Maybe your seeing her caused her to change her plan. I don't get it.
He does make a good point. It is kind of a confusing plan she had. Was she trying to steal it or use it or destroy it? I mean, it was a little confusing. I can agree with that. I'm sure we'll get more clarifications on that. Maybe if I actually listen to the pause tapes, which, as I already said, we're saving those for Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. Anyway, let's finish up this Let's Play once and for all by listening to these last 2 Strangelove memory tapes that I have found already. Joy to the world.
I spoke out against her going, submitting a report stating the ray shielding was inadequate. But the brass's response was brusque. She's already been exposed to a nuclear test in Nevada. She's the perfect candidate. It was completely irrational. Repeated exposure to radiation would only increase the danger. But the government was still reeling from the Soviet success with Sputnik. There was no hope of getting a rational response. They were simply too panicked. People can be so obtuse when it comes to things they can't see. I, however, understood all too well. Just as invisible ultraviolet radiation scorched my skin, heavy particle radiation from space would cause irreparable harm to human tissue. In a word, she was expendable. It was during the boss's pre-flight checkup that I noticed something strange on the X-ray of her skull. Part of the right hemisphere of her brain was damaged. It seemed inexplicable, given her keen intelligence and amazing physical prowess, but there it was, and I decided to report it. I hoped that perhaps my discovery of a physical defect would result in the flight being cancelled. But as I went to make my report, she stopped me. "Why?" I demanded. "How can you let yourself be their guinea pig?" Ignoring my protests, she took me up to the roof of the lab. The night sky was ablaze with stars. It was there that I learned how she had wounded her head. 1943, Los Alamos. She was serving with the Special Forces when she received new orders. A German spy had infiltrated the Manhattan Project, which aimed to build the world's first atomic bomb. She was to eliminate him. His name was John von Neumann, a mathematician with superhuman computational abilities and the designer of the explosive lens. The Manhattan Project was a top national priority, security accordingly tight. The guards couldn't be allowed to know what was going on. She'd have to slip past them and make the death look like an accident. It should have been an easy enough mission. But just before the operation, she received unexpected news. A new life was growing inside her. She was overcome with joy, and for one brief moment, it clouded her judgment. She accidentally got into a shootout with the guards, and without thinking, protected her belly. She was shot in the head. The bullet only grazed the surface of her brain, but the tissue around the wound was destroyed, leaving her in a coma. She wasn't given much chance of recovery, but 3 months later, she woke up. Within 6, she was able to move around as if nothing had happened. It was functional compensation. The other parts of her brain took over for the part that was lost. It made logical sense, but such a full recovery was nothing short of a miracle. Perhaps her superhuman willpower made it possible. Or perhaps my body knew it had to survive for the sake of my unborn child. She smiled as she said that. I understand how she must have felt. "Some have taken to calling me Ms. Left Lobe," she said, "because I'll do anything for the mission." She was tough, yes, but she had feelings too. I knew that better than anyone else. As it turned out, von Neumann wasn't the spy. The assassination order was a deliberate bit of misinformation planted by the Russians. She had been deceived. The Eastern and Western camps were united on one point: opposition to the Nazis. The Allies needed to develop that bomb before Hitler did. But in looking ahead, the Russians found the Manhattan Project's progress a little too quick for their liking. Mass production of a uranium bomb, like the one that was eventually dropped on Hiroshima, would be difficult from a material perspective. But a plutonium bomb, once perfected, could be mass-produced, and eventually even miniaturized. And Moscow did not like the idea of America having that kind of head start. Explosive lens technology was critical to the plutonium design, so the plan was to get rid of its pioneer, von Neumann. And when that plot came to light, the US and the Soviet Union parted ways for good. It was one of the rare cold nights in Florida. She put her arm gently around my shivering shoulders. As I listened to her voice, I was wrapped in her soothing scent. I felt as if I were dreaming. Even in failure, she seemed perfect. Oddly enough, the failed assassination attempt helped preserve America's edge. A true super genius, von Neumann went on to make his mark in numerous fields outside of the Manhattan Project. Economic game theory, stored program computing. Almost all computers today use stored programs, the so-called von Neumann architecture. His death would have set back computing 10 years, and I wouldn't be at NASA doing research. I wouldn't have been there in her arms that night. I thanked the fates for giving me that chance. But then she said something unexpected. I should have killed von Neumann when I had the chance. Why, I asked. Wasn't the order a Soviet plot? I looked up at her as she began to explain. Yes, von Neumann was innocent, and killing the innocent is a grave crime. But I can't help but wonder, had I succeeded, what would the world be like now? Even without von Neumann, the explosive lens would have eventually been developed. Von Neumann architecture, too. But she seemed to believe that if progress had been put off for a few years, then perhaps East and West would have had a chance to work hand in hand. I'd never considered such a possibility, but her tone was confident, assertive. It was as if she intended to make the two superpowers shake hands herself. The explosive lens was developed too early, spawning a Cold War and an endless nuclear arms race, she continued. That mission sprung from deceit, but maybe it was divine providence too. It was like she was speaking to her own child. Her large, warm hand was on my head. I failed the mission because I let the mother in me take over. I should have killed him, no matter how great the guilt. If I'd killed him, I might not have prevented Hiroshima, but maybe I could have saved everyone in Nagasaki. I looked up at her and saw her looking up too, up at the starry sky. Her face showed only deep remorse. It was as if she'd convinced herself that she alone was responsible for creating this twisted world. But that's no reason for you to sacrifice yourself for this. I knew I'd never dissuade her, and yet I still clung to hope. I know you're concerned, and I thank you, but I have to be loyal to the end. And then she smiled at me. Loyal to the end. Loyal to what? I asked. But she didn't answer.
Maybe we'll learn a little bit more in the separation one. Let's just jump right into it, because that one was pretty long, and I don't want this to be a full 30-minute episode.
The days that followed were spent training tirelessly for our first space flight. The boss endured conditioning that tested the limits of human capability, and I supported her. Those were happy days. On April 12th, the spacecraft carrying the boss left the Earth's atmosphere. Although it was only 20 minutes of ballistic flight, it was nothing short of miraculous, considering how little time we'd had. The first human in space. We were ecstatic. Then something went wrong. The re-entry angle was slightly off, warping the outer hull. The cause was clear. It was the hastily constructed window we'd installed. Her capsule missed the projected splashdown point by a long shot. As we raced towards the capsule, a breaking news broadcast came over the radio. It was the news report of the successful launch of the Vostok rocket, piloted by the cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin. They'd beaten us into space by the slimmest of margins. When we arrived, the capsule had already disappeared beneath the waves. The boss was floating on the surface. I can't really recall what happened next. They told me later that I gave a strange scream and plunged into the sea, not caring whether my skin would burn. She didn't wake up. Her entire body was bruised, burnt, scorched by cosmic rays. It was a miracle she was still alive. Every day, propaganda boasting of the shining accomplishment flowed out of the Soviet Union. The hardest part was having to read the report the next morning from Izvestia, the Soviet governmental paper. Written there after the report were those legendary words of Major Gagarin: "The Earth is blue." The person who should have said those words, though, was incapacitated, confined to a bed. NASA opted to pretend the flight had never happened. The Soviets had orbited a man around the Earth and returned him safely. We'd barely managed to escape the atmosphere and achieve ballistic flight. Even worse, the pilot was horribly mangled and the spacecraft lost altogether. As they saw it, covering it up was the only alternative to seeing the nation's pride dealt yet another blow. I've been told military records show the boss was taking part in the Bay of Pigs incident at the time. They were that desperate to erase the whole affair. In the end, Alan Shepard's ballistic flight 1 month later became known as America's first space flight. Shepard's flight owed its success to insights earned through the boss's sacrifice. But to me, none of that mattered. I prayed day and night for her recovery, never leaving her side, not even for a moment. Then, as summer ended and the chill of winter approached, she spoke. "Give me water."
Give me water.
I threw myself on her breast, and she embraced me. It was all I needed. I thought she would tell me about space, the true sky, where the stars don't twinkle. But the only thing she'd speak of was Earth, our home as she'd seen it from space. So fleeting, so irreplaceable. I was ashamed. I'd been enamored for so long with the sky that I never thought to look beneath my feet, at the ground upon which I stood. As soon as her rehab was over, she was gone. It happened without warning. No one informed me, and the higher-ups wouldn't say a word. It wasn't so strange or surprising, really. I simply assumed she was off to complete her next mission, because she was loyal to the end. Since then, I've devoted myself to researching artificial intelligence, so that no one will ever have to make her sacrifice again. No human being should be asked to take on a mission that dangerous. Next time, I'll be the light that shines on someone else. I still wonder why she opened up to me on that chilly night in Florida. That operation was top secret, even if it was all in the past. I like to think it was because she trusted me. But that's probably not the case. She wanted someone to listen. And I don't think that someone was me. Those faraway eyes, the tone of her voice, like she was talking to her own child. Those things made it clear that she was speaking to someone else. I found myself envying that someone. 4 years later, I learned of her death. A traitor's death, no less. She'd stolen an American nuke and defected to the Soviet Union, where she was killed by her former apprentice. Or so I was told. I refused to believe it. She'd never do such a thing. I could think of only 2 possibilities. Either she really was trying to bring East and West together, or she truly did want to be killed. She believed the world is not the way it's supposed to be, that it's been unbalanced by the tenuous peace offered of nuclear deterrence, and that she was to blame. Perhaps her death was an act of atonement. She was loyal to the end, to our world. And I lost the light of my life. I now find myself victim to an incredibly irrational emotion of my own. That someone, the one she wanted to confess her sin to, could it be the one who took her life? The very thought drives me utterly mad with jealousy. One day, I will discover the truth.
And you have already had that day, hence why these tapes are actually old. Anyways, cool. We got, oh look, we even got the trophy for listening to Strangelove's Thoughts. So that's cool. That means we've completed what I wanted to do. Alright, so I think that's officially going to wrap up this Let's Play once and for all. I don't have any ideas or plans to do any of these other boss battles or missions that I haven't done. There's really not a whole lot of missions I haven't done yet. At least not that I have unlocked. Mostly bosses. There's a paparazzi one. There's some more boss battles. I mean, if I go to side missions specifically, I've done most of them. There's not very many left. I did some more off screen, by the way. Nothing that was amazing. Defend key supplies. That doesn't sound interesting. Paparazzi. I did a couple more Puyon missions. Still have this missile intercept mission to do. And then the rest are all boss battles, it looks like. Tanks and armored and choppers and AI. And Metal Gear Zeke again, of course. Anyways, I'm not really... Oh yeah, and these hunter quests, I don't really want to do those either. Okay, so like I said, that's going to wrap up this Let's Play once and for all. For those of you who have stuck with me on this journey, even through to this bonus episode, I know a lot of you are looking forward to Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, let alone Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. Phantom Pain finally has a release date, or at least... I don't know if the date is September 1st, but I'm pretty sure the release date is September, as far as we know. There's always a chance that that could get pushed. That's just the current release date, so we're not going to pencil in Metal Gear Solid 5 for September 1st. It's just our first actual release date we have. We can all hope that it comes out that day. My original plan was not for it to be a day one Let's Play. And based on other LPs I will probably be doing at the time, and or when Xenoblade Chronicles X comes out, we may not even have a space for it to start it right away. But as for Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, I was thinking about doing that like right before I do Phantom Pain, but what I may end up doing is maybe sometime this summer I'll do Ground Zeroes. Sometime during the summer, maybe. I'm not gonna hold myself to that, but that's the idea in my head right now. Sometime in the summer we'll do Ground Zeroes, and then when Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out, Phantom Pain specifically, we'll just do it when it seems right. I'm not gonna just jump into it day one. It's not a good idea to day one LP brand new games anymore, even though tons of YouTubers and other streamers alike do it. It's really not a great idea. It's bad enough that I do all these Metal Gear Solid games and they all get flagged for match third-party content, like all of them. Not that I make any money on these videos, but it's just more likely that one day these videos will be gone sooner than others, that is, and you won't be able to watch them anymore. And these are some of the most popular things I've done, regardless of views or not. This is the series you guys have enjoyed the most. At least more people have enjoyed the most, I should say. That I don't want it to be taken down, or I guess like even get too much attention drawn to myself because I'm doing Metal Gear Solid 5 day one. That's part of my thought process as well. I don't know, you guys can kind of chime in on how you think, how you think about what I think, or something like that. I don't know how to describe that. Anyway, so the next Let's Play I had planned obviously was Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, or I should say Phoenix Wright Justice for All, because Ace Attorney I've already played before, as a blind Let's Play, Justice for All. I've already kind of mentioned this at the end of Silent Hill 2. I'll go ahead and say it here again. I was going to do it after I was done with Metal Gear Solid. I was going to do Justice for All. But I've decided I'm going to do a little bit of a postponement because I want to finish doing my abridged videos for Ace Attorney first. So we're probably going to have a bit of delay on that Let's Play. I know some of you are looking greatly forward to it, but I think I would rather finish the bridge videos first before I start on the next Let's Play, of an actual Let's Play of an Ace Attorney game. In the meantime, I will probably be doing something shorter or relatively shorter. I don't know. It might be a game that takes as long as Silent Hill 2 did. I don't know. I haven't really decided on anything at this moment in time, but just know that we're going to be doing some random Let's Play, and it'll probably start the day after tomorrow, whatever I decide on. And I can't guarantee it'll be blind either. It'll just be a Let's Play. It'll probably be shorter, and it'll happen. Yeah, we'll get that cracking, and then once I'm done with the Ace Attorney Abridged videos, we can do Justice for All. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play, because I mostly did. There's a lot of things about this I, didn't care for overall. I've kind of already touched upon them, so I'm not going to repeat them here. And I will see you guys on the next Let's Play, whatever it may be. For those of you who are waiting for Metal Gear Solid, like I said, Ground Zeroes is coming probably summer at the earliest. So I will see you guys later. Peace!